We're here to talk about vulnerability prioritization, but specifically how to build a program around it. And so for those of you that don't know me, which is probably most of you, my name is Scott Kuffer. I am one of the co-founders of Nucleus Security, and we have a very special guest today who I'm excited to talk, who's going to give the majority of the talk. So I'm really just up here to do the introduction. But just for those of you that don't know Nucleus and why we're here, we are a vulnerability management company, so we do unified vulnerability management. We pull together all of the asset, vulnerability, and threat data in your environment, and then we help you operationalize all of that, all of those use cases downstream using our super data core stuff, which is awesome. So we work with over 400 companies at this point, so if you haven't heard of us, you might soon. You can see we have a great selection of customers that we work with, big brands, and we have a ton of experience working within building programs in extremely complex environments. Now, myself, I'm obviously the vendor, and we're fortunate enough to have one of our customers here today. Dr. Jasyn Voshell has actually built a program inside of his organization, and he would love to tell you about it. And with that, my work here is done. And Jasyn,
all right,
after you, man.
Let me have this real quick.
Hold for applause.
Oh, look at that. Already got an applause here. I could jump up on the stage, but I'm assuming I can move around okay. Is that good? All righty, team. So welcome. Thank you for showing up today. So Zebra Technologies, anybody know who we are? Anybody who's not working for me know who they are? Anybody in the back of the room know who they are? Take a look at your badge. We printed your badge. So we make printers. So Zebra essentially invented the barcode. You guys know what a barcode is, I hope. I hope we know what those are. So everything we do, Zebra does, anything that moves from point A to point B probably has Zebra Technologies built into it. So your Amazon package, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the hospital and you get a little wristband, that's our stuff. How many of you are familiar with the National Football League? Let me see a show of hands. NFL. Yeah, right. And so if you watch the highlights, they put the circle around the player and show you how fast they go. You guys you've seen that? Yeah, that's our technology tracking the players on the field. So anything it moves from point A to point B, we're tracking it. That's our stuff. Your driver's license, we print that. We help track those things. So we do quite a bit of we do quite a bit of stuff with those with the individuals. We're about a 4.5, maybe $5 billion a year company. We've got we're all over the world. The guy wants me to stand up on the podium so I look taller. And then our key verticals, like I mentioned, retail, healthcare, transportation, logistics, manufacturing, just about anything you could possibly think of. That's what we've got. So you can imagine with so many things, we've got a lot of vulnerabilities that kick around. I'm not sure who the people are here in the room, but I would imagine that you deal with vulnerabilities a little bit. And you probably have a lot of different tools like Tenable, Orca, pick anything else in the world, CodeQL, GAS. All these vulnerabilities roll in, and one of the problems we've been having is that I've got a lot of different teams, I've got a lot of different tools, I've got tons of different vulnerabilities, and the team's like, Jasyn, I don't know what to deal with first. And most of the time we just say, deal with the criticals first. What's critical mean? Whatever CVS says is critical. I'm going to dive into why that's not the best way to look at these things and how Nucleus has helped us kind of put that into perspective. So we started looking at a risk-based approach. Just because I have a server that's got a critical vulnerability on it doesn't mean that's a high risk. It could be sitting in a closet somewhere for all I know and have nothing on it except my grandmother's recipe for oatmeal cookies, which she would say are very important, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. So we wanted to find a way, as we're talking to all of our different teams, talking to the board, talking to our customers, to talk about how risky is something. How bad is this? How much vulnerability should I go after? And so we took a risk-based approach. Look at that cute little thing there, with one yardstick, and that just means one tool to measure it across the board. So when you look at Nucleus, what it helps us do is it takes an asset, and we can actually tailor that asset to specific findings. So example, when I said that I have a server sitting in a closet with my grandmother's oatmeal cookie recipe on it, you'd say it's not business critical. That data is really not that sensitive. Sorry, Grandma. And it's not on the internet. So is it really that risky? So we really took at that risk-based solution. Company-wide reporting and stakeholder engagement were important for us. So when I talk to anybody in the entire company now, I mention, it's our risk score. I don't say, how many CVSs do you have? How many vulnerabilities do you have? What are they on? Is it production or non-production? We just talk about what is our risk. And that encompasses a good portion of those questions that we've got come across. So when we started to do this, because I would imagine here, if I asked anybody who's not on their phone, how you doing, bud? Oh yeah, taking notes. Yeah, I hear Candy Crush. No, that's good. So when we talk about starting small, I bet you if I asked everybody in this room, if you know about the number of vulnerabilities in your company, if it's over 1,000, put your hand up. Your hands are going to fly up, right? If it's over 10,000, your hands are going to fly up. It's a lot. So it is a very large ocean to boil. So we started small. It was really important. Wait, somebody have questions? No. So we started small, and then we slowly built it out the way we wanted to. And as we did that, we got further involved in the process. Now, that sounds great, right, Jasyn? Every project, people say, start small. What was it? Walk before you run, blah, blah, blah. We always hear that. In this case here, it was really good because we could kick off pretty fast. I still thought, yeah, good. So what I wanted to look at, because I want to kind of prove what it does Nucleus do for us. What does it mean, 1 yardstick, Jasyn? I came in here, I saw this presentation, it said 1 yardstick. Help me, what does that mean? Here's a great example. So I want you to imagine in your head a vulnerability. I'm going to call it vulnerability X, whatever it is. And CVSS has identified this as a 10.0. If they had an 11, they'd put 11 on the scale. And that vulnerability is on multiple different servers. Okay. How do I address which one first? Is that just me moving this down? Is that me? The mic is dropping out. I'll try to keep my head down talking like this. So which one do we attack first? So what Nucleus does is helps us prioritize it. You got how many teams you've got having to go deal with vulnerabilities, having to work it down. I imagine most of your reports to leadership say something like, last month we had 10,000 vulnerabilities, and this month we have 10,500. And I go, why did it go up? Oh, we solved some, and then some came back in. It's a never-ending cycle. I get that. But knowing which ones to attack first to reduce your risk-based, it's extremely important. Which one do you do? How do we do it? And then which ones do we need to handle first are kind of some of the important things. So I'm going to give you an example of 3 different, same exact vulnerability. Right here we have vulnerability X. It's a CVS score of 10.0. We've got them all over the place. Well, one of them is on a server that's business critical. Right? Core operations depend on the server. This server goes down, I can't do point of sale. Or this server goes down, I can't print a wristband for a patient in a hospital. Or this server goes down, and suddenly I can't track my players on the NFL field. That's bad. It has sensitive data on it, so I've got all my player tracking information. I've got PII, perhaps for patient information, or I've got information about how much things cost. And then exposure, this server that we're talking about, it kind of looks like a board cube. Hopefully, you guys know what a board cube is? If you've seen Star Trek, I think everybody at this conference has seen Star Trek. It's on the internet. So this is a red alert. Now remember, this is one vulnerability across different types of assets. So in this one here, we would consider this a high risk. It would get a high risk score. We'd say go tackle this first. You put that exact same vulnerability on this server. And this server it's kind of important from a business criticality standpoint. It goes down, we can survive for an hour or two. It doesn't have a lot of sensitive information. And it's just kind of, it's in like on the DMZ somewhere, so we're not as overly concerned. So this one, same vulnerability, but now I tell the teams, you may not have to worry about this until second or third. And then the final one we have, it's got nothing on it. It's got my grandma's oatmeal cookie recipe. And yes, you can have it afterwards if you come up and ask me. It's got low data sensitivity, data criticality, and it's on an ISO LAN sitting in a closet somewhere. And so you can understand that that vulnerability, even though it's a CVSS 10, and your bosses are screaming, hey, we got to take care of this, you can say, hold, slow down. I've got 3 servers. I only have to go fix 1 right now. That's what I have to go fix. Now expand that out. Instead of 3 servers, it's 30,000. Which ones are you going to tackle first, and why are they the most important? And this is a very good part of how we talk about Nucleus in that 1 yardstick. It takes the vulnerabilities, it takes the attributes of the server, criticality, data sensitivity, exposure, and helps me quantify a risk. Now, you may say, well, Jasyn, what about financial risk? And what about my human factor risk? And that's all very relevant, but this gives me 1 yardstick inside of a specific area. So when I talk about it, I can say, well, critical risk. It means the same thing to the board, our board of directors, to our engineering leads, to our developers. It's the same way to talk about it. And when we talk about what's most important, we say, what's your risk score? Even though it might not be a totality risk, it is one that helps us identify things from a security perspective and what to go after first. Our developers, when we started putting this in place, I saw a very quick reduction in the number of critical and high risk vulnerabilities in our organization. In the past, we took data to see what it looked like before. And you'd see the numbers go up and down and up. Like, remember I told you, 1 month we had 10,000 critical and highs, and the next month we had 10,500. But we remediated 8,000, but then, whatever that number is, 8,500, came back into play. And the board and leadership would look at us like, what are we doing? Are we even doing any work? Now we talk about the risk. I don't talk about the number of vulnerabilities. I don't say that we've got 100,000 vulnerabilities. I say our risk, Mr. President, is here. This is what our risk is. And to get it to move down, here are the things we need to go take a look after. So some of the key takeaways from this, obviously one, Yardstick doesn't rule them all, but it's a continuous journey. You've probably heard people say that security in general it's a journey, not a destination. Security is a journey, not a destination. We're always working on this, but this does help me quantify it. Getting stakeholder engagement, we started talking about one rule that defined our risk, so we could all talk the same language. Everybody got on board. Like, I know what that means. Jasyn, when you tell me it's critical risk, I understand what that means now. It means that I have a critical server and I've got a big vulnerability, as opposed to, hey, I've got 10,000 critical vulnerabilities, I don't know what to go after. Delivering early value, we took one of our teams, we put this in place, and they said, so let me get this straight, Jasyn. In the past, it was a never-ending ticket. It was just raining tickets, left and right. Now, I handle some of these and my risk drops below a certain threshold, and I'm okay. You're not going to bother me every 5 seconds. You're not pinging me with emails and spreadsheets. I go, no, you're at a low risk tolerance. This is where we need to be. They're much happier about that. And also, this is my little plug for Nucleus, and Scott's really great, finding the right partner was big, because when you start doing something like this, you need to get the buy-in, and you need to make sure you've got a partner who's got your back. So because teams will always try to beat this up, right? Any time you're in security, you say, we've got to go take care of stuff. You need to go fix this. Your teams always push back, well, it's not really that critical, or there's nothing on that, or you're holding up my production. The excuses go away really quick. And if they do try to find something, we've got Scott right behind us going, hey, let me explain that to you or why that's the case. So it's quite important for us. So that's what I have right now. So let me pause for a second and ask if there are any questions or comments or donations. I'll put my Venmo up in a second. Or any laughter. Nothing, so quiet. Oh, yes, sir, you in the front with the blue hat.
What's an acceptable level of risk?
The gentleman in the front says, what is an acceptable level of risk? Does anybody have any idea? Anybody? About over here on my left, on the phone with the white watch. Yeah, so the question was, what's an acceptable level of risk? How would you answer that question? Yeah, it's hard, right? And I think, it depends. I love that answer. It's not the great answer. It depends. It depends not only on our corporation. So Zebra as a whole, we have kind of set a corporate threshold. So I'll give you some examples. Risk scores go from 0 to 1,000. 1,000 is the worst, right? Oh my gosh, my hair's on fire, it's purple. And 0 is not achievable unless you unplug the server. So we talk about the 400 range. And it's linear, so it's where we sit. But I have some teams, for example, in our NFL category, they're like, no, it needs to be below 100. We don't want to have anything on there whatsoever because of the way they do business, the way the gambling system works, the way Vegas works in general, and we're here. Our products that make healthcare items, they're the same way. They're like, we don't want that. Some of our products that do asset inventory, they have a little bit higher of a threshold. So when you ask the question, what's an acceptable level? It does depend on what that product looks like and what your business is. And that's, as security professionals, it's kind of our job to define what we feel is acceptable. Right? We can't say perfect. And you can't let perfect get in the way of good. And we need to get good, and then we need to get better. But are we ever going to be perfect? Yeah, when we unplug all the things in the world and nobody can touch it. That's going to be zero risk. But until then, we've got to work with what we've got, talk about a common framework, and what does risk mean to everybody at the same time. And that's what this tool has helped us do. Thank you for that planted question. It's one of our employees. We had it. Anybody else? Question? Comment? Wait. Oh, yes. What's your name? Bo? Bo, how you doing, Bo?
One of the ways that we're trying to help evaluate a risk score is based on the backup options that are available to the system. So, for example, our payment solutions, we have 8 different payment solutions running all at the same time. One over here may not have a backup at all. If it goes down, it's down. But this one over here has 3 backups that it can take over. So we have that as a lower risk because if the primary server that's running the service goes down, we have the secondary backup. And then if that one goes down, now we have the tertiary backup as well on top of it. So that we evaluate as a lower risk. Is that an okay approach to as a best practice, or would you kind of steer away from that, and what would be a great time?
Excellent. Let me paraphrase that so everyone in the room can say it. Essentially, what he said was, as part of the CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, how does availability play into risk? And what he was mentioning was, if I have a point of sale, right? I'm in Walmart and I'm shopping and I've got 8 things. If one of them goes down, how quickly can I get it back up? How much is the risk dependent upon, can I bring it back around? What's the availability for that? So I would say that's actually, that's a very good way to measure, or that should be included in your variables for risk, because it's your risk tolerance. Yeah, like, I don't care if it's, I don't care if it has 16,000 critical vulnerabilities on it and the risk is 1,000. If that goes down, if somebody hacks it, I just turn it off and plug another one back on. In 2 seconds, I'm back up and running. So I think that's a variable to the consideration. But availability, it is part of the triad, because if maybe I don't bring that device down, maybe I hack it and I sit there and just capture all the data. Or I take that one and I traverse to another device you have, and then I wait till all your point of sales goes through and take all that information and dump it in my bank account. And so while I wouldn't say that's a single point, it is probably something that is to think about. As we do have teams that say something like, Jasyn, this is the development box, we don't care. And in part of, there was one here, yeah, like business criticality. In that case, if you have a redundant layover, you can say, well, that's not business critical, because if that goes down, I can replace it. So Nucleus could even, if you think about availability as a business criticality sense, you could adjust that, and it would adjust your risk score based on what you said. I have a backup, so that's not business critical. If that goes down, it's fine. I've got another one in 2 seconds. Or no, I don't. This one cannot go down, or I will be hosed. So you could adapt that pretty easily. There's like 4 variables that Nucleus uses, and you can kind of play with them. Great question, Bo. Thank you. Anybody else? Can you hear me in the back? Fantastic. That's from a movie. If anybody knows that, you can check me later. I'll give you a prize. Can you hear me in the back? All righty. All right, well then, if you are interested, I'll make sure you hit the right button here. Yep, if you're interested, please come to booth 2714. That's where Scott and the team will be. And I will be around afterwards if you just want to come up and ask me questions, because you were busy taking notes on your phone, Candy Crush, or doing anything else. Anybody questions, comments, concerns? Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, team. I know the room wasn't full, but I appreciate it. Have a great day.